Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Claire, and I'll be the librarian host this afternoon. This seminar series is offered through the NOAA Central Library Seminar Program, which provides an educational forum for the presentation of ideas, research updates, and news in support of NOAA's mission. Before we start, I have a few technical tips for attendees. Just so you are aware, you are muted and you are not able to unmute. However, if you have a question, you can type it into the question or chat panel, and we will get to those during the Q&A at the end of the presentation. If you are having any audio or visual issues, if you can't hear the speaker or see the slides, please try logging off and back on, and that solves most issues in GoToWebinar. As a reminder, this is being recorded. If you would like to revisit the seminar or view previous seminars, you can find them on our YouTube channel, and I'll place a link to that channel in the chat box for you momentarily. Now I'm going to turn it over to Laura, who is going to introduce our speakers today.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay, great. We're really pleased today to have our two speakers with us, Cheryl Samples and Nora Dempsey, with us today to talk about the Virtual Student Federal Service. Cheryl Samples is the VSFS Program Manager and joined the Department of State in the fall of 2020. She is an Army veteran with over 10 years of federal service, including working at the Department of Veteran Affairs and the United States Department of Health and Human Services. Her background is in education and she was a public school teacher after exiting the military. Cheryl holds master's degrees in teacher leadership and educational leadership and believes in being a lifelong learner. Our next speaker, Nora Dempsey, is the VSFS Innovation Advisor. She was a member of the U.S. Middle East Peace Team 1993 to 1995, Director of African Affairs at the National Security Council 1999 to 2000, and the U.S. Consul General in Florence, Italy, and Director of the State Department's Advanced Arabic Institute in Tunisia 2008 to 2012. She's the founder of SAPER, an international biotech research center in Tuscany. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the speakers.
Good afternoon, everyone. We just want to thank you before we begin for taking some time out of your busy day to learn about the Virtual Student Federal Service and to not miss out on this free and valuable resource. Nora?
Especially since NOAA offers internships that are unlike any other. So there's so many students out there who are looking to NOAA to provide them the unique opportunities that they need for their university education, and to open some doors for their future career opportunities. Let's go to the slide deck, Cheryl. Okay. So the Virtual Student Federal Service began life as the Virtual Student Foreign Service in 2009. In a speech by Hillary Clinton at the New York University commencement, she mentioned it was time for virtual internships. Now, in light of the pandemic, we all know that this was prescient, that the State Department was really ahead of the curve, ahead of the private sector in knowing that the future of work is digital. So in 2009, she announced it. It was just one agency, the Department of State, and 44 interns who had been in-person interns and who were then kept on to do virtual internships the following year. So over the decade we've been around, we've gone from one agency, the Department of State, to now at least 70 agencies have participated in VSFS. Why they participate? Well, it's free first, and students want these opportunities. They want to get to know you. They want to get to know your work. VSFS, because it's an unpaid 10-hour-a-week, 8-month-long internship, is not too daunting. It allows a student to really see the work, to make a contribution, and to not feel the pressure of something heavier than that. Students can still go to school, they can work from anywhere, they can still have their jobs, but they can also try to make a contribution to the government and have an experience, a real work experience with you. Cheryl? Oh, here we see, this is the slide I was waiting for. Shows really the growth of the program from one agency in 2009 to now in 2020. We were inundated because of the pandemic and because we finally had a colleague who knew how to really do good student outreach. We had up to 8,000 students apply in just 1 month last year. In the month of July, 8,000 students tried to land an internship. And you can see that 2,100 of them were selected, meaning 6,000 students didn't get that opportunity. This year, we'd really like to encourage more mentors across government to submit more projects so that percentage goes up. I think we're going to hear from one of your colleagues, Kate, in just a minute, who had an extraordinary experience and who can tell you why this would work for you and why you should consider it. If you go to vsfs.state.gov, you'll just be so inspired by seeing the projects that have already been submitted. When I joined VSFS in 2012, we were very tiny. It was the beginning. If you Googled VSFS, it said Victoria's Secret Fashion Show. Now it says VSFS, the largest and only government internship in the world.
So VSFS was designed to be very easy for both mentors and students. So to be eligible to participate, we take applications from U.S. college students. They have to be U.S. citizens and either going to school full or part-time. They can be attending school in the United States or studying abroad. Thankfully, because this is a virtual program, they have classifications from undergraduates all the way to PhDs and JDs, and we accept all majors. So they just have to be studying for that certificate or a degree program and minimally be in a part-time student status. The students work about 10 hours per week, as Nora said, with a long-term commitment. We do fall and spring academic year-long internships because we want that engagement. We want the mentors and the interns to really collaborate and to learn from each other. So they work on unclassified projects, again, from September to May, about 10 hours per week. This is an unpaid internship, but there's a return on investment because some students are getting course credit for completing this internship. All of them are getting just invaluable experience and this introduction to the government, which is really different, that they've never seen before. When they use their own computers to complete their tasks, to complete their projects, they come with different types of software that help them, that aid them, and anything that they need to help you out. Just to give you a little idea about NOAA's participation, in the current program cycle, which is our 2020 to 21 program cycle, there were 35 mentors with 13 projects that had about 73 interns. So you can see the number of projects doesn't match with the interns because you can request as many interns as you like. Right now, our program cycle is accepting projects for the upcoming year. We have so far from NOAA 8 projects from 16 mentors, and of course, the interns will be selected in August. So why VSFS? Nora kind of alluded to some of this. I'm going to speak from the mentor point of view, and Nora will take over for the student point of view. So as mentors and as government workers, there's always not enough time or not enough people on our teams with skill sets to get everything that we need to get accomplished. So what VSFS does is introduce you to students to work these projects or these tasks that you have that you would love to get done. You know, we like to say, think of it as a perfect world. What do you need? What do you want? Put that in a project. Reach out to students. We have a vast reach right now, just because of what Nora said with one of our teammates doing outreach to colleges and universities. We can find students that meet your language skill needs, that meet your whatever skill set to complete these projects, whether it be coding, whether it be data entry, whether it be data analysis, whether it be graphic designs. We have a list of about 21 discrete skill sets that when you submit your project that you can choose from. With red tape, there is no red tape. The students are working on unclassified projects that you can pass over to them, or things that we don't have to have that deep background check for. So we kind of take care of that red tape. The students apply via USA Jobs, where they are attesting to their US citizenship and their student status. We like to say that VSFS is tech forward, and it helps all of our government agencies, because technology continues to improve and innovation moves forward by leaps and bounds. And sometimes for us in the government, we don't get access to that latest technology as quickly as we would like. But these students are in school. They have access to that technology. They bring those resources to us with everything that they do. VSFS is a talent pipeline. Again, you can select who you want to work with based off of majors, based off of student classification. If you want to only work with graduate students, you can work with graduate students. If you only want to work with someone that's getting a law degree, you could work with that person. So you can be as creative and selective as you like. And of course, this is the future of work. We've all been working virtually for a little while now. And at some point in time, we might have said we can't do things virtually, but I think we've been able to prove that a lot of work can be done virtually, and we are still moving forward. That's what VSFS does. It's been bringing government workers and students together virtually for over a decade now. Nora, over to you about students.
For the students, it's accessible and affordable, so you can be anywhere. There's students who are tribal college students in Montana who participate. There are students who are participating from grandma's houses in not the nicest neighborhoods across the United States. There are students everywhere who wouldn't have the money or the ability to come to Washington to intern, or to go to a foreign mission and intern. So it's flexible that way. Students get course credit and obviously career development. It's designed intentionally to be a long-term engagement, so that you can select the student you want with the skill set you desire and the passions that you're looking for. And you work with that student over an 8-month period of time, over an academic year long. You'll get to really understand and know that student. That student will make a contribution you can't even imagine right now. When we hear from Kate, she'll show how what came out of the internship is always more than what you can even envision. The key is for you to write down the skills, as Cheryl said, to write down the skills that you really think would complete your team, and then to ask the students what they believe, what they think, what's their opinion about how to move forward with this project. So all those things, even in there's congressional legislation right now on the Hill about State Department internships requiring payment, but there's a special carve out for VSFS because everyone knows these 10-hour-a-week, 8-month-long opportunities are really essential for students to get a taste of working in your field and with your agency. Again, NOAA offers specific opportunities that aren't available elsewhere. And so it's very important for NOAA to have a robust participation. Next. The timeline every year is the same. So every year from May 1 to June 18, which is now, projects are submitted by anybody who's in government. So you could be a civil servant, a foreign service officer, a locally engaged staff, a contractor. Anyone who's paid by the United States government has the right to have a team of their own. In July, only in the month of July, students can apply. And right now they apply through USA Jobs. So every student you wish well, you can tell them right now to go to USA Jobs and build a profile, so that on July 1, they can select the VSFS vacancy announcement and select their top 3 projects. They can only bid on 3, and there'll be hundreds to bid on. So it's fun for the student, but it's also a puzzle to figure out which 3 to choose. And then August is fun month, because it's the month you get an email that says, look, you have 89 applicants, or in some cases, 290 applicants. And you and your co-mentor, every project requires 2 mentors to make sure that students have the leadership and the mentorship that they deserve and that they're never left hanging. In August, you and your co-mentor can sift through all the applicants and look and find the student that really appeals to you. We found for sure that the best projects are those for which the mentors have interviewed. So they have come up with a short list and then interviewed their candidates. And it's September, the work begins. Cheryl?
Yep, we're going to talk about how to submit projects now. Trying to get this to move. Here is a copy of a project that was submitted by NOAA this year. And we just wanted to share that. I'm going to go out to our website in a minute. But first, I'd like to introduce one of your NOAA teammates. Her name is Kate Swiles. She has been a VSFS mentor for a couple of years now. And she's returning for the upcoming program cycle. She was the first NOAA mentor to submit a project this year. So thank you, Kate, for doing that. Kate,
Sure.
I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Cheryl. So hi, everyone. I'm Kate Swales. I'm the Education Coordinator at the Greater Atlantic Regional Fisheries Office in Gloucester, Massachusetts. So actually, last year was our first year using the program. But as Cheryl mentioned, we have already submitted 2 projects for this upcoming year. We had decided to participate in the program prior to COVID, as we were looking to host virtual students for a variety of reasons. The first being, it's often really difficult for us to find suitable housing for our in-person student interns that's affordable on a student budget and convenient to our office, especially if you don't have a car. Our office is kind of tucked up away from public transportation. So we tend to attract the same types of students from the same areas, especially locally. So we really wanted to expand our student pool. The second reason we wanted to try out this program is that the idea of having co-mentors and only having the students work with us 8 to 10 hours a week was really appealing for staff that felt really overwhelmed at the thought of having a student kind of follow them around full-time every day, all day long. So the project that Cheryl showed was the project we submitted last year. And it was the development of story maps. And our office has just one staff member that focuses on GIS, Dr. Talia Tenbrink. And she had all these really great ideas for story maps, but she just didn't have the time to get them done. So she submitted the project to VSFS. We had well over 40 applicants. And while we were originally just going to host 1 student, we were so impressed with the quality of the applicants that we ended up doing 12 interviews, and we actually ended up changing from 1 to 3 students. And we formed a GIS lab. And so these are our 3 students that actually just left us last week, Michelle, Daryl, and Emma. And they all came from very different backgrounds. Actually, none of them had fish or marine science as their backgrounds. So Michelle was getting her PhD in entomology. Daryl just graduated this past week in sustainability studies, and Emma just graduated in atmospheric science. So we were providing them an opportunity to kind of expand their horizons and focus on a different subject area. And then they in turn were providing us the opportunity to learn a little bit about other subject matters. I put a link to our lab page on the slide there if anyone wants to take a look. And then the slide also shows 2 examples of the story maps that they created for us. One being on the scallop fishery in our region, and then one on sharing our beaches with seals. In total, they developed 7 story maps for us. That's huge. That's so much more than we would have been able to complete on our own. Our lab met weekly to help bounce ideas off each other about issues they were having creating the maps or ideas that they had to improve the maps with each other. And one of the things we learned is by hosting multiple students, we were able to form a cohort and give them a sense of community, even though everyone was virtual. Talia and I acted as the students' main mentors. Talia oversaw the project development itself, and I oversaw their professional development and made sure that they were connected with professionals throughout the agency and also help them with just kind of like career planning stuff. We also had the students interact with situational mentors that provided the content for the maps. So having multiple staff interact with the students really helped them feel like they were part of our workforce. If you can, I would suggest that you host more than one student, or at least connect your students with other interns maybe that are in your office maybe at the same time. It was a really great experience for us and them. Daryl is actually kind of changing his path and going to get his master's in fishery policy now and wants to work for NOAA, which he didn't think was an option prior to this internship, so that's great. And we've also had really wonderful feedback about the work the students produced, and we are really looking forward to participating again this upcoming year. And during the question and answer session, I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have. Thanks, Cheryl.
Kate, it's mentors like you that make VSFS so successful.
Agreed, and I'm so moved by your presentation, Kate. Good for you. It's mentors like you, and I think it's notable that Kate interviewed. So the things that struck me is that she took the process seriously from the beginning to interview. She was open to a team. We keep hearing that again and again. The energy of a team really builds energy for you in the workplace and brings you things you didn't think possible. And our hashtag this year is delivering diversity. If you look at Kate's team, you'll see it's not all girls, not all guys, not all anything. It's a diverse team, and that's right now. There's no excuse for teams not to be diverse. VSFS is a free shared resource that can allow ourselves to build the teams that are representative of America.
Thanks, Nora. I'm going to take us to our very new redesigned website to show you how easy it is to walk through our site and to submit a project. Let's see if I can, there we go. Okay, can everybody still see my screen? No, it shows the VSFS website.
Yes, you're good.
Okay, so our website is vsfs.state.gov. I'll type it in the chat box and it'll be on our final slide during the Q&A. Here, if you click on Learn More, you'll see just a plethora of information. Even before registering as a mentor, you can see projects. But the most important thing that we would like for all of you who are on this call today to do would be to log in and become mentors. Let me see if I can shrink this down so I can get to what I need. I have never worked with GoTo. And it's not letting me get to my corner. So let me stretch it out a little here. If you go to log on here, you'll see a how to register. And this is where you would choose exactly your steps. So if this is NOAA, or even if you're introducing VSFS to some of your friends, please make sure that they look at this how to register piece first. I'm going to click on None, Department of State, and you will have access to all of the information that you need to register on VSFS. One of the things that we've had to do this year is to go to a multi-factor authentication, just like banks are doing, or probably some your agency is. So when you register, you have to set up a multi-factor authentication option. There are 4 different options to choose from, so we know one of them will work for you. Let's go over here. Here are all the projects that have been submitted so far for this current program cycle. So we have 81 projects. Now you can filter projects by agency. So I'm just going to filter by NOAA. These are the 8 projects that have already been submitted. Okay. And we would love, love, love to have more NOAA projects, of course. Okay. Once you register, you would create a project. It's very simple. Just like these projects that are being listed right now, what your colleagues have done, they've tried to come up with a catchy title: GIS analysis, ships, sturgeon, and undiscovered stories. You have a short summary, 2 to 3 sentences, a longer project description. As you can see, this is where you put any specifics that you want to put about your project, okay? Do you need students to be in a particular region? Do you need a particular classification? I only want graduate students. I only want a particular major. Again, you can choose from a discrete set of skills that you want for your project. It's very important that you identify the top 3 skills that you want and put those first, even though you can list more, just due to when we're looking at the project. So when the students are going to be looking at the projects, we'll display the top 3 and there'll be a little message that says +6 more, but make sure your top 3 are shown. If you need any type of language skills, any additional information that you would like to put here for everybody to know about, and the number of interns that you would like to look for. Now, again, just because you put 1 or 2 interns, once August comes around and you are interviewing, if you want more interns, please, you'll be able to select more interns. Everything is going to be done electronically through your mentor account. Anything else, Nora?
Yeah, I think Kate, if Kate's still on and wants to have a word, I think it's really interesting that Kate said that her 3 interns, her team, weren't, I think, majoring in fisheries or in fish-related matter. But something about the way Kate wrote that description appealed to those students, so they applied to her project. And that's what VSFS offers. It lets students have a chance to explore an area that may be related or that is a passion that they have heretofore not been able to actually try out. And it's very interesting you want to craft your project in such a way that you are going to tap into the passions of your students, not only their skill sets. So some students, during the interview process, VSFS allows you to work with whomever you like. So that magic that happens between people, when you meet a student, when you interview and you find a student who really you relate to, you want to work with, that's what VSFS gives you. Kate, do you have a word on that?
Yeah, sure. So the way that we wrote our project description, and actually Cheryl was showing our current project description, we're also going to try to tackle a couple more story maps this year, is that we just made sure that the students had some basic understanding of GIS skills. So that's what really drew them, I think, to our project. And then also we made sure that we wrote the project description so that there was an opportunity for them to be flexible and actually choose which story maps they took on based on their own interests. And based on if they had interests in communication and education and outreach. So we just tried to keep our project description really broad and attracted a wide variety of students that way as well.
Thanks, Kate.
So that's the end of our presentation. We would love to answer any questions. Kate is on as again as a NOAA mentor to give you her perspective. Nora told you one of our hashtags this year is delivering diversity, and that's what we're trying to do. Our website is listed, vsfs.state.gov. Or if you need to get in contact with the VSFS team, you can email us at vsfs@state.gov.
I'd like to add one thing, one of our projects, it kind of feels like the project of the year this year, is a project that was submitted by a State Department computer science kind of guy. And he advertised for 3 interns. And he ended up, there was such an overwhelming response, more than almost 200 students applied. He ended up working with 175 and built an artificial intelligence sort of startup. And these projects can be as big as the vision that you have. So I think it's great to be open. You don't have to, when you put down, you think, well, maybe I'll work with 2 interns. If you get an overwhelming response, really, you can make as many offers as you like. You can build a team of your own, just the way Kate did. So any questions?
All right, so we do have some questions here. Just a moment to pull those up for you. All right, our first question is, why is the internship unpaid? If you have more information on that.
It's unpaid because we believe in paid internships. We support the congressional legislation that's underway right now to ensure that students at the State Department who have full-time in-person internships and even full-time whatever internships for summer or for fall or spring semester, that they be paid. Equally, there's room for a free shared service like VSFS, which allows students to try something out just 10 hours a week. It wouldn't exist if it were paid, because there would come up with a structure that would be impossible to maintain. So there's room for this as well, to let students, without the pressure of a paid full-time internship, to try something out over a long academic year. During the academic year, these 10-hour-a-week real work experiences with real results serve as capstone or keystone projects for many universities. So many students get course credit for their efforts, and many universities look to VSFS for the real work experience they're requiring in co-op students and students who are required to get real work experience as part of their curriculum.
All right, and do you do any connecting students to outside funding opportunities, either for their time or for the course credit they're earning, if the unpaid nature of the internship is a barrier for them?
No, mentors, you see our team, 2 of the 3 of us are on this webinar right now. So we're a tiny team, but we're managed to have an incredibly big, an outsized impact due to media just like this, but also being featured on NPR, et cetera. It's up to mentors to get what they want to. We're just the connective tissue between mentors across the interagency and students. Students themselves are the ones who ask for credit at their university and inquire. And then students write to their mentors once they've been selected for a project and explain what it is they need from the mentor for the paperwork for their independent universities. We don't do that. Students do that on their own.
All right, and how would you submit a project for a specific student level, for example, if you were looking specifically for graduate students?
In the project description, we are just connective tissue. Any mentor can submit whatever project he or she likes. You can say, first off, in fact, if you're looking for a graduate student, we had one project, the person wanted a PhD candidate in macroeconomics who spoke fluent Farsi. He put that at the very top of the project and he got a number of applicants. You put right up top, this project is designed for a graduate student in, and then you can name it. The Office of the Chief Historian at the State Department, they advertise for students who are specifically interested in archival projects and in taxonomy. The Department of Agriculture markets their projects. We will give you unique URLs to your agency's projects. You can market them or advertise them to your network and to the many universities you know who are directing their students toward NOAA. So the Department of Agriculture, they talk to the land grant universities because those students need Department of Agriculture projects for course credit. You can do the same. Again, you can say anything that you need. You can say during the student for this project will need to sign a non-disclosure agreement, or a student for this project will need to submit additional paperwork, or a student for this project can be expected to work 20 hours a week for the first month and then 10 hours a week for the next 5 months. You can say whatever it is that you need.
Nora, I would just add too that, once you guys get your project number, like you see there, that's ours from last year and it's NOAA USA 7. I really did a lot to promote that through our own channels. And so if there are certain universities that you're trying to target for particular PhD students or programs, you can share your posting with them come July.
And can you describe how easy it was to submit a project since you've already done one this year?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely simple. You only need the summary, the description, the keywords, and a co-mentor. And as Cheryl said, you just go online and go through their portal, and it's just cut and paste from a Word document, just a few phrases.
You can cut and paste from a Word document, or you can go to those NOAA projects that have been submitted this year, or you can also look at previous year's projects and cut and paste. So we like to say, sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel, that you can reutilize some projects that are there. There are also, with the last year, we had over 750 projects from various agencies. So, you can kind of get inspired by looking at what other people have utilized VSFS for.
All right, and in addition to undergraduate and graduate students, do you accept students for this program who are at the community college level?
Can you
Yes,
repeat
we
the
accept
question?
community college. Uh-oh. Go ahead, Nora.
I didn't hear the question, I'm sorry.
Community college.
Oh
Student.
yeah, we made a big effort. And so anybody who has a high school diploma and who is engaged in part-time or full-time university level education is able to participate. So according to, the legal eagles at the State Department, you have to be in student status. We're not interested in having people contribute unpaid work for the US government if they're not in student status. But students get so much out of this. They get more out of it than they give. So yes, absolutely, community colleges.
And the program cycle that's coming to an end right now, we had about 75 participants who were from community colleges. And for this year, we do plan on doing some targeted outreach to community colleges to try and increase that number.
Great. We have another question here. Someone says, I am a current federal employee as well as a graduate student. Am I eligible for the program?
Per our legal, we've had this question this year, right, Nora? About a government employee participating that is a student and not double dipping. I can't remember the exact legal terminology.
I know that the military officers are able to, who are also in student status, are also able to participate because they're not perceived as taking work away from someone else. For the individual, I would generally federal employees don't participate, but maybe they can. So each individual could certainly ask us, and we'll run it by the lawyers to make sure everything's kosher.
Okay, great. And our last question here, does your website, or is there anywhere where people can look at completed projects? I know you said that some of the students will do this for their capstone project. Do you aggregate any of those and put those on your website or anything like that?
We don't have that, but what we can share are a couple of our newsletters that promote some of the things that the students are doing.
Okay, great. So that is all of our questions. Did anyone have any final comments before we finish up here a little bit early today?
We just want to say how thrilled we are that NOAA participates and is part of the VSFS family. We really encourage all of you to do what Kate did, which is to make yourself happy by getting yourself a great team of students to work with.
All right, and just as a reminder, this presentation will be available on YouTube later this afternoon. Thank you to all of our speakers. Thank you all for joining us. When the presentation ends, you will see a survey. If you take the time to fill this out, we do use these surveys to improve marketing our library seminar service and inform future seminar topics. Thank you again for joining us. Have a safe and enjoyable rest of your day.
Thank you all.